Hello. So in this video, we're going to be looking at a few different things. In the last two videos, we looked at making the outline for our sway along with adding in all sorts of media. So I've gone ahead and added in a bunch of new media that wasn't in the last video because I wanted to show you how to group things and how to add themes into your sway, which is what we're going to be looking at today. So the first thing that I want to show you is how to preview your sway. So once you have everything added in and you wanted to preview it, all you have to do is come up here and hit play, and it will open up your sway into a preview for what it would look like if this were the finished product. And then what you would have to do, which I'll show you in a little bit, is change themes or change the way that things are emphasized so that it looks the way that you would want it to look. So once you're done previewing it, all you have to do is hit edit, and it brings you right back into your storyline so that you can continue editing it. Okay, so the first thing here to kind of have a finalized product is we're going to group a bunch of these cards together so that it's not really spread out. So if you have all of the habitats or you have a group of things that fit together, you can have that so that it's easier to look at when you're actually going through the sway itself. So I'm going to show you how to group things, and there's a few different ways to do this. You can select cards by clicking on the card, and then right down in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a box for card selection. So you can click on that, okay, and that would select this card. And if you go and you click on a bunch of them, I'm going to just go through and I'm going to click on all the different, and you can click on them out of order. It doesn't really matter. So those are the cards that I've selected. And now what I want to do is I'm going to come right down here and I'm going to click on group. So I'm going to group these cards together. And when I click on that, it's going to bring up a bunch of different options. So I'm going to go through and show you a bunch of these different types of groups. And I'm going to show you what they do by going back and forth in the preview. So I just clicked on a bunch of pictures, okay, to add into this group. So I'm going to do what's called a stack. And essentially, this is just a stack of your cards that when you're presenting, you can click on, and it just puts the top card on the bottom of the stack so that you can rotate through and look at them. So if I click stack, you can notice up here that it says that this group is a stack. Now, if I wanted to change the group type, I can click here, or if I wanted to ungroup them and group them in different ways, I can click ungroup. Okay, so I have that grouped. Now, in a stack, the only two types of cards that you're able to use in a stack are image and text cards. So if you have an embedded tweet or you have an embedded form or anything like that, you won't be able to use that in the stack. It can only be image and text cards. So I'm going to exit out of this group pane over here, and I'm going to minimize this stack, and it helps to kind of organize everything just to keep it minimized. Okay, and the next, well, let me come up here and I'll show you the preview of that and what it looks like. Okay, so here's our stack of those cards, and you can just click on them and they go back. Now, if you added captions to it, you can click on that and it expands the caption. Okay, if you wanted to view it full screen, okay, you can click on that and it's going to bring up the image that you're currently on up into the full screen. So I'm going to come back into edit. Okay, and let's say that you didn't like that and you wanted to change it. So if I come up here into group type, it brings up our group pane over here on the side again. Okay, and now I'm going to select automatic. And what this does in automatic is it groups them automatically into the best format. And in automatic, you can use anything. You can use audio cards, embed cards, text cards, image cards, any type of card. So I'm going to close out of this. I'm going to come back up here to play so that I can preview what it looks like. Okay, and you can see here that it grouped them automatically into the best fitting format for the type of cards or the number of cards that I selected. Okay, usually with these types of cards, I like to keep it as a stack, especially with the image cards, just because it takes up less room. You can click through them, and it doesn't overwhelm everybody with the clutter on the presentation. So I'm going to change it back here into stack. The next one that I'm going to do is a comparison. So what I've done under the endangered species, okay, is I've added in an extra heading card that tells the students that I want them to compare the two images of the northern and southern white rhinos, okay? And I'm going to show you a different way to group them right now other than just selecting cards. If you click and hold on the card and you drag it down on top of the other one, you'll notice that it highlights it and says group. Okay, I'm going to drop it there. So now this group is set up as an automatic. I'm going to come down and do a comparison. Okay, and I also have a form here that they're going to be answering questions about that. So I have it set up as a comparison. So I'm going to come up and preview it. And the one thing that I really like about the comparison is you'll notice here's the comparison that I have here, those two images, and then here's the form that they would have to fill out to answer questions about it. Okay, and with the comparison, again, they have the captions up here just like all the images, but then you can slide it back and forth so you can look at each picture or parts of pictures together so that they're able to see these pictures side by side. And they overlap so you can look to see what is the characteristics of them. Okay, so I'm going to come back into edit. So the last one that I'm going to show you is with conservation efforts. And I'm going to show you a few different groups with these images so that you can see all of them. So I'm going to come through and select all of my images that I have underneath conservation efforts. Okay, and I'm going to click on group. And the first one I'm going to show you is a grid. So you kind of saw this before when I did the automatic with the habitats. But if I come up here to grid and I hit play, here's my grid. So they put them into this grid of these 4 images. And then you can click on each one of them if you wanted to in order to see each one of the images by themselves. Okay, so I'm going to come back up here to edit. The other type of group that I'm going to show you with this is a slideshow. And they have a few different slideshows. So they have a continuous slideshow. What this one does is you can just keep clicking over here and it's going to go through the slides and you can go back and forth. The thumbnail ones have the thumbnails along the bottom of the slideshow. And then this is just a general slideshow. So I'm going to click on the slideshow here, and I'm going to hit play so that I can preview it. I'm going to come down to the slideshow, and here's the slideshow so that it goes back. You can click on each one of the images and go back and forth with them. And again, just like all, you can click on the caption to expand it. Okay, if I come down to the thumbnail one, scroll down to it, and you can see down here the thumbnails are underneath it, and you could click on each one of the thumbnails so that you can go out of order and look at it if you wanted to. So let's just review really quick these different group types. The first is automatic, okay, and this can be any card type. The second was the stack, and that can only be image or text. The third was the grid, which can be image, text, or video. And then the slideshows can be, and the compare can only be images. Okay, and the last part that I wanted to show you, now that we have everything grouped, was the design. Okay, and this is where you're going to change the look or how the sway actually goes. And this has the preview of what your sway looks like here. Okay. And right over here under styles, you have different choices. You can have it scroll vertically, you can have it scroll horizontally, or you could have it be in slides like you would in a PowerPoint where you would click and it would go to the next slide. Along with this, you can have different themes that go into it. So if I click on this theme, it'll automatically change the preview over here so that you can see what it would look like. Okay, if I were to do it where it's scrolled horizontally, again, it would change the preview of what it would look like. Okay, or if I did the slides, it would do the same thing. Okay, so depending on what your presentation is, this is what you're going to have to play around with to see which one best fits. And one thing that you can do, if it doesn't really matter, you can just come and say, hey, let's do a remix and see what it comes up for you. Okay, so this one, it would choose your theme along with the style of scrolling that it would go through. So once you have all of that set and you have the style that you wanted, all you have to do in order to share this is click share, and then you would choose over here. Do you want to share it with a specific people or group, in which case you would add in emails. If you wanted to share the link, you would have the link right down here, and you could get an embed code or an actual visual link to share out, or you can copy this link and put it into anywhere for the students to access it. So that concludes our tutorial of Sway. I hope that you're able to use this in your classroom or have your students use it, since it's so user-friendly for them to create their own presentations and share out. So thank you for watching.